So I guess we've all seen the Xbox One now. Microsoft have done their big release, and you know it's had a very mixed reception. I think the current internet consensus is that people dislike the Xbox probably for the campaign that they've been trying to follow up with, which is kind of cater to a mass market, own everything in your living room, your TV, I mean, even your fantasy football you do on Xbox now. And there wasn't really much to do with gaming, and I think that kind of left a bit of an impact. But at the same time, this is all just internet talk. I mean, I've seen polls where people are like, "Oh, I'm going to get the PS4" and stuff like that. But ultimately, I just think, you know, if everyone owned an Xbox and all your friends owned an Xbox, it'd be very difficult for you to turn around and say, you know what, I'm going to get a PlayStation 4 because of this, this, and this. It's like, well, if you're playing it to play with your friends, it's tough really to get around that. But, you know, it's a bit of time until the Xbox One and PS4 are released. I'm thinking it might be autumn. I have a suspicion. But yeah, so I mean, there's still details we need to find out about the PlayStation 4, and I'm going to keep an eye out for those. And you know, if I can convince if that is the better console, and I can convince all my friends to get the PlayStation 4, then I'll go for it. But you know, if the Xbox One offers a better service for us to play multiplayer and stuff like that, of course I'm just going to go for the Xbox. I'm not particularly bothered about all the extra entertainment stuff that's been packed into the Xbox, but you know, at the same time, I guess it's probably quite a nice little feature that I might use. I mean, if it's on there, you might as well use the service. I don't use any of the extra services for Xbox at the moment, but we'll see. They have this strange thing with the Kinect, where I read that basically you can't turn the microphone off, and obviously you can't turn the Kinect off. The Xbox One won't work without a Kinect, and it's really kind of surreal because they can do things like, if you're watching a movie, if you've rented a digital movie, the camera can determine how many people are in the room, and if someone else enters and watches for a certain amount of time, it can charge you for it can charge you a higher rate because now you're paying for another person to watch the film. And and there's other little patterns and stuff that I've heard about that. On top of that, also Microsoft have been a bit sort of dodgy about it. Like, a lot of the questions that I think people were asking, none of which really got answered at Xbox One. They've been kind of dodging and diving about those. I think I've used that phrase in almost 3 or 4 videos now, the duck dive, because it's just so I don't know, it just stays in your head. But yeah, so I mean, there's some questions that have just really been unanswered or like they kind of haven't really been straight about it. For example, the always online connection thing. So there are all these patterns about having the Xbox having to be online, and the functionality requires it to be online. And then they said, okay, no, it doesn't have to be online, when there's a bit of a backlash. And then now it turns out that you do have to be online. It's like, oh, it does have to be online at least once every 24 hours. So, I mean, I don't know. The whole thing was a little bit off-putting. Plus, I think just watching the Xbox One event was like watching a really long advert. So, kind of about a minute or 2 in, I even started feeling a bit like, I'm not sure I can be bothered. I might just watch the highlights afterwards. We did actually watch it through to the end. We were all excited about the Call of Duty reveal. But, you know, I've got mixed opinions about the Xbox One. So I'm looking forward to E3, where, I mean, the way I think of it is that they kind of had this style of event where they knew a lot of people who maybe don't just game, they've got other priorities outside of that, like, you know, if they want to have their entertainment TV all in one. They knew it was a big media event, so they catered to them because they knew that the gamers and the hardcore gamers will be watching any reveals at E3 anyway. So, you know, I guess it was kind of a good tactic. I'm not really a big fan of how they went about the Xbox reveal, and how they kind of played it up to be sort of like the future of mankind and like the next like big step in human technology development. So I don't know, it was pretty funny, but you know, I think we're going to go discuss this in more detail during a dual com I've got coming up in the future. But for now, I hope you just enjoyed the gameplay. And I can honestly say we were all sad not to see Robert Bowling kind of walk out onto the stage. we were so hoping he was going to come out and just go, "I'm back to announce the new Call of Duty. No last stand." That's what at least I was wishing for anyway. Anyway, guys, cheers.